like to welcome you to the inaugural CalTestBed Symposium. And I want to thank you for joining us on this amazing remote platform. I'm really excited to use this. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I hope that you enjoy using it. This year has been a year of challenges, as everyone knows, and originally this event was to take place in person so that we could all gather, we could all meet each other, connect with each other. So that's why we use this remote platform, so that we have an opportunity to network in between. We set aside specific times for everybody to network. So I hope you use that liberally. And I want to thank you all for joining us. I'm sure that we're exhausted of these virtual events. Everybody's frazzled from a very challenging year, but I think this is an exciting event, and I'm so thrilled to have our cohort of 26 companies that we're welcoming who will serve as our panelists, along with our commercialization panel of national experts in commercializing clean energy innovations. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for being a part of CalTestBed. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about, provide an overview of what CalTestBed is. And so Lauren, if you could please go to the next slide. Thank you. So CalTestBed is an initiative of the California Energy Commission. It's funded with EPIC funds, and EPIC stands for Electric Program Investment Charge. Those are funds that are collected on the ratepayers' bills of the state of California. And all of those small charges go into a fund that is then administered to benefit the state, to benefit the entrepreneurs of the state, and to benefit the ratepayers of the state. These funds are being used to de-risk clean energy innovations and accelerate their commercialization with the CalTestBed program. This program has an amazing partnership structure, and I'm so delighted to be working with these organizations that we're lucky enough to be working with. So the CEC is funding the program, and then we have our main implementation partners with the University of California Office of the President, with an overarching agreement, and 9 of their campuses, and then also Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. I also am working with a couple of terrific subcontractors, including Momentum, who assist with their senior level thought partnership, with the great input of Sean Garvey on structuring this program and thinking through every last detail. And then also with our reporting, our outreach, and our communications. And also the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator, who's helped to organize and manage the symposium. So Lacey has been an amazing partner in putting together this symposium, working out the technical details, thinking through all of the panels. And so I deeply appreciate the partnership with Lacey and all of the staff that I've worked with. Next slide, please, Lauren. So overall, the CalTestBed program has a very broad group of campuses that are participating and providing their test beds as places where our entrepreneurs can work and do their testing on their prototypes. So there are 9, as I mentioned, 9 UC campuses, and those include UC Riverside, UC San Diego, UC Davis, Irvine, Berkeley, UCLA, Merced, UC Santa Barbara, and UC Santa Cruz. And then there's also Berkeley National Lab that is providing testing facilities as well. These 10 campuses are providing more than 30 testing facilities in a very wide range of capabilities. And we've put together a CalTestBed directory, which lists each campus, each lab, and the testing capabilities at that facility. And that is a directory that applicants can look at and determine which labs that they're most interested in working at. And as they apply, they can put their preferences in their application. And then we do matchmaking and development of a statement of work once the applicants get to the point where they're recommended to be CalTestBed voucher recipients. To make this partnership manageable, we created a UC liaison role, which is held by Rob Judd of the University of California Office of the President. And there's an ombudsman who is the main point of contact at each campus, because there's a host of principal investigators, communications people, folks that we're working with on invoicing, and it would just be overwhelming to have to just me dealing with all of those individual people. So I'd like to thank our liaison, Rob, and the 10 amazing ombuds people at each of the campuses. I really appreciate all of the hard work that everybody at each of our campuses has put into this program, because it is a really large endeavor, a really big lift, and everybody's been amazing in terms of their cooperation and collaboration. Next slide, please, Lauren. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about our network. And our statewide network is really a terrific group of organizations that has been organized by the California Energy Commission. So the Regional Energy Innovation Cluster partners are partners in 4 different regions of the state. So there's the Southern California Energy Innovation Network. We're working with Blue Tech Valley, Activate, and Lacey. And those organizations cover the 4 regions of California that we've broken the state into. CalSeed is a statewide program that's also run by New Energy Nexus. And New Energy Nexus has CalSeed as a program that helps provide assistance and funding to earlier stage TRL level 2 to 4 entrepreneurs. And then the CalTestBed program is really the next stage in the pipeline of innovation support. And our technology readiness level is 5 to 7. And then on a national level, we are working with the Wells Fargo NREL IN2 network, and also Incubate Energy. And I wanted to mention that Incubate Energy, their network has an application that's opening today, coincidentally, for paid demonstration projects with leading utilities throughout the country. And this is a natural progression for our CalTestBed companies. So these types of national partnerships are really critical to the success of our program, because we are trying to create these connections with these next level partners. And what I refer to as next level partners are investors, pilot and demonstration partners, utilities, national labs, commercial test beds, corporate partners, government agencies, and other accelerators and incubators that will work with our entrepreneurs to take them to the next level and accelerate them towards commercialization and broad deployment of their technologies. Next slide, please. So I wanted to give you a brief overview of the 2020 CalTestBed voucher recipient cohort. We have 26 companies approved for vouchers, and the total amount of vouchers provided by the CEC is a little over $5.6 million for this cohort. Each of our applicants were eligible for up to $300,000 as a voucher. And then we also have a cost share that has been contributed by the University of California campuses of a little over $500,000 for this round. So this is an extremely exciting proposition. We're making a really large investment in these companies, and we're hoping that these investments pay off with de-risking their technologies so that they are more attractive for companies to acquire, for investors to invest, for pilot and demonstration projects to move towards commercialization. So as I mentioned previously, we see California in these 4 different regions. And as you can see on the map here, there's the Central Valley in dark blue. The San Francisco Bay Area is in teal. The Los Angeles region is in slate blue down on the bottom left, and the San Diego region is on the bottom right. And so in terms of our geographic representation, we have 6 companies from the Central Valley region, 8 from the LA region, 5 from San Diego, and 7 from San Francisco. So we're trying to make sure that we are benefiting with this program people throughout the entire state of California, rather than just in Silicon Valley and LA, where there's a high concentration of clean energy innovators. We also have accepted applications in 10 different technology types, if you see on the right-hand side here. And the number of companies that are in our cohort is in front of each technology type. So you'll see the highest number is in energy storage. We have 10 of our 26 companies are energy storage focused. 2 building technologies, 3 energy efficiency, 1 grid technology, 1 industrial and agriculture, 1 Internet of Things, 2 materials-based, 4 renewable generation, and 2 transportation. The only one that we don't have represented in this cohort is a water technology. And all of these companies are aligned with the EPIC funding priorities of creating greater electricity reliability, lower costs, and increased safety in the electric system in the state of California. Next slide, please. So for my last overview slide, I'd really like to talk a little bit about the value proposition, which is really much more than meets the eye for the CalTestBed program. As I mentioned previously, all 26 of these innovations will provide benefits to the ratepayers of the state of California, but they'll also provide what I refer to as geometric benefits in other sectors, including the economy, employment, health, transportation, and energy security, just to name a few. And these geometric benefits are really important to consider. I think about every hour spent and every dollar invested in clean energy support and the commercialization of clean energy has benefits that are multiplied. And I'd really love to see a thorough financial analysis of clean energy investment if you really internalize the positive externalities and take a look at what the financial benefit is overall when you're looking at improved health and improved environmental quality and all of the other geometric benefits of clean energy support. These positive externalities include a host of benefits, and they particularly benefit environmental, economic, and social justice for frontline communities. And so this is really what drives me, is making sure that we are providing benefits that clean energy is the rising tide that lifts all boats. And I'd really like to see how these companies that we're supporting will create benefits for people in frontline communities. And so that's really why I do this type of work. The program also has these standardized terms and conditions with a focus on maintaining the entrepreneur's IP, which makes it very attractive for entrepreneurs. And I also think that this program could serve as a blueprint for regional commercialization support efforts. If we could create similar programs throughout the United States that are covering the entire country so that no region is lacking in clean energy commercialization efforts. And then we could potentially have an overarching federal support for those regional efforts. I think that that would create a huge boon for our economy and really benefit the people of the United States. The program also promotes the use of the University of California and Berkeley National Lab testing facilities. And it provides, and it prepares and supports our clean energy companies for their next steps toward commercialization. So it's supporting these small nascent businesses that will grow and thrive and hire people and become the economic engine of their, part of the economic engine of their communities. Next slide, please. So now I'd like to invite the brilliant woman behind the curtain, Lauren Harper from Lacey, to the stage to introduce herself and give us a few quick tips on how best to use the Remo virtual platform.
Thank you all for joining today. It's great to be here. I just wanted to give you guys a little run through. So many of you have found the chat function and you guys have been chatting as Tinley has been talking this morning. You also, if you click general chat, you can chat folks privately or those at your table. And then also, if you have not filled out your profile yet, in the top right corner, you'll see your initial, and you should click that button. That place you can add your LinkedIn, links to your company's website, and it'll be your digital business card for the day. Additionally, if you are trying to see these slides a little bit closer, be sure to look for those those 4 outward facing arrows for each of the windows that you see. If you expand that arrow, you'll be able to see the slides, Tinley or myself closer, as well as any other presenters for the day. And then I also want you guys to know that we will have networking time in the floor plan mode that many of you joined and you were in today. And then lastly, if you have any issues with Remo, you should refresh your page. And so with that, I'm going to keep it really nice and short. And Tinley, I'm going to give it back to you.
Thank you. And I also just want to mention that when we say next slide, please, the slide doesn't change immediately. So please be patient. There's a slight delay when the slides change. And there's the agenda that is my next slide. I would like to go through the agenda briefly for today. We're currently in the welcome and framing part of the program. I will shortly introduce the CEC Vice Chair Janaea Scott for her opening remarks. We'll then have a virtual tour of the Lacey facility, and then we'll move into our first panel discussion, which will be focused on energy storage. Following that will be a UC Riverside virtual tour, and then after that virtual tour, we'll go back into the networking view of the platform, and you'll be able to connect with some of your colleagues there. And then we'll have the How Do We Decarbonize the Built Environment panel with the UC San Diego virtual tour following that. And then the final panel of the day will be Supporting the Pipeline of Clean Energy Innovation. What do entrepreneurs need most to be successful? And following that, we'll have a virtual networking session from about 12:50 to 1:30. And now, without further ado, I would like to invite Vice Chair Janaea Scott to the stage. I really deeply appreciate the California Energy Commission's Vice Chair Scott for making time today to provide our opening keynote remarks and to provide greater detail about the California Energy Commission's strategic pipeline of clean energy support and how the CalTestBed initiative fits into that structure. It's a really well thought out strategy, and I'm excited to hear more about it.
All right, well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Tinley, for the kind introduction, and to the event organizers for inviting me to be here today. I do have some slides, which I hope are queued up. Yep, okay, excellent. As Timmy just mentioned, I'm Janaea Scott, the Vice Chair of the California Energy Commission, and I oversee our research portfolio. And I'm really excited to be here with you all for day one of the 2020 CalTestBed Symposium. If you'll go to the next slide, please. One of the things that I will do is kind of start out with a broad picture of the California Energy Commission and then speak to you about how CalTestBed fits into all of this vision. So I look forward to doing that with you. At the Energy Commission, we're committed to promoting a clean, affordable, and reliable energy supply for all Californians. And we're also the agency that's helping to lead the state to the 100% clean energy standard. And as we gather virtually today, I want to remind everyone to keep the importance of inclusion and diversity in mind. The California Energy Commission is committed to continuing our efforts to reach more diverse entrepreneurs and innovators and our communities with the funding programs and our clean energy benefits. And so I just want to encourage everyone, when you're seeking project partners, when you're please be sure to reach out, make sure you're listening to communities to really deeply understand what their wants and needs are, and then develop solutions in a collaborative way, right? That's the way that all of us working together are going to get to the 100% clean energy standard and make our climate and clean air goals together. So if I can, so let me line out for you what some of those goals are, and you can see here in the slide that I have presented the areas where the Energy Commission works. So as you all know, California has some of the most ambitious climate and energy goals in the world. We have a renewable portfolio standard of 60% by 2030. We have building and appliance standards to reduce energy use while saving all of us money. We're looking to have all new cars and passenger trucks sold in California be zero emission by 2035. And of course, we have our goal of achieving 100% zero carbon electricity system by 2045. And many of these measures are, of course, to get to cleaner, healthier air, but also to meet our climate change goals of 80% below 1990 levels by 2050, which sadly is less than 30 years away. So we've got a lot of work that we all need to do together. And so for California to create this modern energy system that can power the world's 5th largest economy in ways that are cleaner, safer, more affordable, more reliable, we need all kinds of technological innovation. So for my brief conversation with you all this morning, as Tinley mentioned, I'm going to walk you through how CalTestBed fits into all of this and is a program that will help California to achieve its goals. So if I could go to the next slide, please. You'll see here that the Energy Commission invests millions of dollars each year across multiple programs that help foster energy innovation in California. And so some of those include the Electric Program Investment Charge, which is about $133 million annually. We've got a natural gas research program, a food production investment program, a low carbon fuels program. We've got a lot of dollars that we are lucky enough in this state to be able to invest in fostering innovation across the energy sector to help us meet these climate and clean energy goals. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. Today, what I want to talk with folks about is our EPIC program, or the Electric Program Investment Charge. And this program, as I mentioned before, invests about $130 million each year to help support entrepreneurs, researchers, communities, innovators, and others to develop new technologies, foster innovation, and bring clean energy solutions to the marketplace that help benefit California's ratepayers. So through the EPIC program, the Energy Commission is striving to catalyze innovation that advances safety, reliability, and affordability, as I mentioned. And I'm really excited to report to you all that in August of this year, the EPIC program was renewed through 2030, which is very exciting. So that's going to result in about $1.5 billion of funding for clean energy research over the next 10 years. I think this sends a really strong signal that the state is committed, the state is dedicated, and we're going to continue pushing ahead to forge solutions. So I'm really excited about that. And as we develop all of that, I want to encourage everyone to participate in our workshops and our proceedings. And if you're not familiar with the Energy Commission, just go to our webpage, energy.ca.gov, and there's tabs up there where you can click and join the listservs. So as you can see from this slide, among EPIC's important priorities is investment in our entrepreneurial ecosystem. And the level of technological innovation that we need to achieve these climate and clean energy goals is going to require innovation, entrepreneurship, disruptive technologies at an unprecedented level. We're essentially talking about decarbonizing our entire economy in the next 30 years. That's a lot of work for all of us to do together. And as you all know, innovators serve as an economic driver here in California. And we want to help ensure that our clean energy entrepreneurs not only make it through the challenging times we're facing right now with COVID, but also have the access and the tools and resources necessary to thrive and contribute in the economic recovery. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. I want to talk with you about the statewide innovation ecosystem and entrepreneur-focused funding stream that will help clean energy entrepreneurs and startup companies overcome the common barriers and challenges to bringing innovations to market. So this slide actually articulates, I think, in a very similar way, the information that you heard from Tinley in her opening remarks. But this is how, the way that I describe it in my layperson terms is how we get an idea, a great idea out of someone's head and move it all the way through the innovation pipeline so that it can get out into the marketplace and help facilitate the changes that we're trying to drive. So we want our system to help entrepreneurs take their clean energy technologies from the R&D stage all the way to maturity with support along the way. So you can kind of see here the different stages. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm pointing to my screen, but you can see on your screens the different stages of technological innovation and then where each of the Energy Commission's program falls along that stage to move, as this slide says, the technology from inception to scale. So if you'll go to the next slide, please, I'm going to start with the CalSeed program, which I'm sure that many of you are familiar with. Our CalSeed program provides proof of concept funding for new technology ideas. And as of 2019, startup companies accepted into one of the innovation clusters or CalSeed have attracted more than $100 million in private funding and $50 million in public follow-on funding. And between 2016 and late 2019, CalSeed funding resulted in 32 patents, 37 pilot projects. 8 of those projects were in what the CalEnviro screen describes as disadvantaged communities, and there were 67 funded projects. And my understanding is that these numbers don't include the recently awarded cohort 4, so the numbers are even bigger than that within CalSeed. Next slide, please. As we move along the energy innovation pipeline, we get to our CalTestBed program, which you heard about from Tinley, and you will also be talking about all day today. But basically, recognizing that California's early stage clean energy entrepreneurs face a series of significant hurdles in accessing testing, validation, certification facilities as they attempt to move their technologies from prototype to pilot and demonstrate scale, the Energy Commission created the CalTestBed program. And that was just last year, actually. We're right about year 1 of the program. And the program is to provide these startup companies with access to the testing centers throughout California and really unleash the power of the academic institutions and the labs and connect those with our entrepreneurs in a really smart way. And one of the goals of our testbed program is to reduce the time it takes to move new energy technologies from the prototype stage to the pilot demonstration stage. And we were trying to do that by giving innovators access to a statewide network of testing facilities. And I really hope to see what the fruits of this program are going to be for years to come. And so I really do think of it as folks, if you're looking for a 3D printer or you need one of those water cutters that can cut through all kinds of things, these are technologies that it might be difficult to have access to without the CalTestBed program if you're a startup. So that's really the point of the CalTestBed program. If you'll go to the next slide, please, I'll continue walking you along our energy innovation pipeline. So the next program that we have is called the Bridge program. And the Energy Commission established it. It is the Bringing Rapid Innovation Development to Green Energy program, or Bridge. And that helps provide the follow-on funding to the most promising technologies that previously received funding for early stage development, either from an eligible federal or Energy Commission research program. So that kind of helps keep, it's the way that the state government and the federal government can work together and help keep pushing entrepreneurs along that innovation pipeline. If you'll go to the next slide, please, I'll note that the Energy Commission also created our Realizing Accelerated Manufacturing and Production Program. We're from the Energy Commission, the government, we have to have a wonderful acronym for everything. So this is our RAMP program. And that issued its first set of awards also in 2019. The RAMP program really provides technical and financial assistance to help clean energy innovators successfully advance their emerging best-of-class technologies into the initial production stage. And then the next slide, please. And this is just, as you can see, a quick high-level overview of that ecosystem here. And then what we have is our regional innovation clusters. And those clusters collectively provide entrepreneurial support services like the lab equipment, business plan development services, connections to investors. And since 2017, we can report the following results from our investments in the regional innovation clusters. That includes that we've got the 4 regional innovation clusters that were funded, and Tinley walked you through those in her slides as well. I think mine's think alike here. So you can see those clusters highlighted on the map. There are 154 companies that were supported. We saw a 3-to-1 return on investment for the dollars we put in. There was $154 million in follow-on funding, $50 million in additional investment, more than 800 jobs, and in this cluster here, we have over 400 patents were received. So these really are a pretty amazing and impressive statewide innovation ecosystem. And it's exciting to hear how the different clusters are working together with one another. It's really great. So if you will go up to the next slide, please. This is just a quick refresher of what I just walked you through, right? So again, we're working to smartly move in a technology from inception to scale. And so we've got that CalSeed program, CalTestBed program, Bridge, and then RAMP, and the innovation clusters they help glue it all together. And so you can see exactly where CalTestBed fits in. My kudos to the amazing Energy Commission staff who spent a lot of time thinking strategically about what is it that we need to do as we develop our research program to make sure that we can move technologies in this way. And so I hope as you are listening today and doing the having a chance to network with one another, that you will look for Eric Stokes from the Energy Commission team. And I know that there's other fantastic Energy Commission staff on the line. They will be happy to connect with you, as would I, to tell you more about any of these programs. So if you'll go to our next slide, please. I want to talk to all of you about our Empower Innovation Network. Empower Innovation is an online platform that provides access to funding opportunities, curated resources, and connections to people and organizations working for a clean energy economy for all. You can see here that you can visit us at www.empowerinnovation.net. And we've got some really fantastic numbers in terms of how many members we have, how many organizations. If you are a community and you'd love to have a technology demonstrated in your community, this is a great place to get connected with the folks who are developing that. If you're someone developing a technology and you're seeking a community to demonstrate it in, again, this is a great place to connect with one another. So I encourage you all, if you haven't had a chance to join our Empower Innovation Network, to please go ahead and do so. One of the things that we know in California is that you can have a clean energy economy, and that is part of a growing and thriving economy. There is a fantastic chart which I cut out for time's sake, but it shows how the GDP in California has increased, while the emissions per capita, greenhouse gas emissions per person, has gone down. Right, so you can absolutely grow your economy and make the kind of whole-scale changes that we're talking about. And as the 5th largest economy in the world, at least the last time that I checked, I think we're proof positive of that very thing. So the Energy Commission really recognizes that the level of technology innovation that we need to achieve this whole-scale change that we're talking about for our clean energy system, our climate goals, it's going to require collaboration, innovation, and entrepreneurship at unprecedented levels. And we also recognize how much entrepreneurs serve as an economic driver here in California. So we really want to do everything we can with this research program to help entrepreneurs not only make it through these challenging and uncertain times, but also to continue to have access to the tools and resources that are necessary to thrive and to contribute both to our economic recovery, clean, green jobs, living wage jobs where people can put their kids through college and raise a family, but also that move us towards this decarbonized economy. So for this and a whole bunch of other reasons, we're committed to supporting the clean energy entrepreneurs and the technology innovation for the benefit of all Californians. We are, as I mentioned, beyond excited that the program has been renewed for 10 more years. So again, 10 years, $1.5 billion of investment in this research space. We're really, really excited about it. I'm delighted to have CalTestBed as a key strategy to help again as we get the technologies through the innovation pipeline. And I'm really glad that everyone is here joining us today and that I get to be part of the event. So thank you so much for inviting me to speak. And I'm really looking forward to an excellent 2 days. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janaea, for those amazing remarks and talking about the really brilliant strategy of the CEC to support inspiration to innovation to commercialization and deployment of clean energy technologies in the state. And I also want to shout out to all of the CEC personnel that I worked with in developing the CalTestBed program and implementing it. It is a huge undertaking with a lot of partners, a lot of legal documents, and I just really appreciate the thoughtful, hardworking people that we work with at the CEC to make this happen, and just the support of the CEC to allow New Energy Nexus to be the administrator of this program.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for those kind words, and applause, applause, applause for the awesome Energy Commission staff.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Janaea.